Hi, everybody. Welcome to September 2020's Hot Glass Cold Beer.
Thanks for coming.
It is tradition for us to make a giant pumpkin during this Hot Glass Cold Beer. It's something we love to do. And we're starting off right away. Here's Claire. She's gathering up some clear glass, and she's going to get a chunk of concentrated colored glass in order to do a color drop. This is the orange that will be the body of the pumpkin.
Visit starworksnc.org. Yay!
So before the glass, the color is molten, we can dust off any small particulate that's accumulated on it with the broom.
And hi, I'm Claire. Here I am just shaping that colored glass and getting it super hot so we can gloop it on to the top of the bubble that Joe is making.
Gloop. Hey, this is Joe Grant. I'm the one in the bench right now. I just made a starter bubble, and I'm gonna let that cool down while Claire gets that color super hot, and then we're gonna gloop it on.
Loop, glop.
It's hard to know what color glass is when it's hot. It always looks orange, but in this case, it actually is orange.
And you guys, we just want to say thanks for coming, and we're doing this special video event, and we're trying to loop you into the process a little bit and into what we hear when we're standing close in this team. So we're, going to do a little bit of commentary. We hope you enjoy it.
Looks like Joe's already taken another gather and is just shaping it up with that wooden block behind him too.
We try to think of new ways to make pumpkins, and even though we make thousands every year, we're always looking for something that a design or colors that will stand out from the year before. And so what you're looking at here with this pumpkin, we're making a series of polka dots on it. So the polka dots are black over the orange body of the pumpkin.
So hi, my name's Jackie. I'm in that light blue shirt there. Right now I have another solid chunk of color that I'm heating up, and we are applying the black polka dots on the outside. So you can see we get just the very tip really hot. Joe can guide us where he'd like it to put it, and then cut it free while the glass is still really hot.
And since I didn't introduce myself, this is Thorin. And one of the really cool things about working at StarWorks is working with such an amazing group of people. So it's cool to get to collaborate on these kind of objects with the whole crew at StarWorks.
And the glass we're using to make these dots is really stiff, so it doesn't spread out too much. So you'll notice when we bring it over, it looks a little bit more orange at the tip of it, and at the back end, maybe a little bit less orange.
Let's get this done.
I wish we could work this fast sometimes in the studio.
So you can see we're just applying lots of little dots here, and then every once in a while you'll see we'll take that pipe back to the hole just to make sure that it doesn't get too cold. You constantly have to keep the glass warm or it could crack.
I love that shot. That's awesome.
Yeah, so now all of the dots have been applied, but we want to melt them in to the body of the piece, and then we're gathering on top of it to make it bigger. Yeah, when we're making a larger piece, we need more glass. So we edited some of this out, but this is like a little further along where we're dipping up the largest gather of the piece.
One of the things that I find very engaging about glass is its very visceral nature. So it's a very physical thing, and especially when you get to this weight, you have no choice but to focus on what you're doing and pay attention to this 2,000-degree object. Man, that color has always really attracted me. That brilliance of the glowing glass, one of my favorites.
Yeah, forbidden honey.
Oh, I love that forbidden honey. Yes.
Yeah, and at this point, we have a lot of glass there, so you can see we're kind of all working as a team. There's like 4 people working on this piece right now.
To get the ribs in the glass, we're shaping up this bubble so that it fits inside of what we call an optic mold. So both right now I'm kind of shaping with a newspaper, which is the closest we can get to touching the glass. And then now you're gonna see Thorin actually use a big metal table called the Marver to shape and cool and really get us into the right form to get that bubble super hot and drip it down into the optic mold.
And like Jackie was saying, you see 4 people working very hard on this piece, and it's a group of people that I love, that I think are some of the coolest people on the face of the earth. And so it's so cool to get into these moments with them and really be working as a unit and almost as one. A lot of people who see hot glass will say it looks like a choreographed dance, and there is that component to it, even though it's a little different every time. We just all know our roles and what we're supposed to be doing, and it's what makes the team really strong.
So we're getting ready for that big heat to drop into the mold, and really from that point forward, we kind of have to keep the momentum of the piece moving, so all of us start to get kind of excited right here.
Well, we all become super engaged, right? The process takes over and forces you to be a part of it. Look at those shoulders. Yeah, it's a great shot. The GoPro really came in handy to do this video.
So Thornton was blowing and pushing to fill in the ridges there.
And like Joe said, it's almost like it's nonstop action from this point out. We just have to keep moving. And if we take too long at any one point, we really lose the heat momentum of the piece, and it's really hard to get it back. I also want to take a second to thank Ryan Zimba for supplying the music you're hearing.
So right now we're putting a constriction at the back of the bubble because we have to be able to break the piece away. And so I'm using a tool called the jacks to carve that line in. And then you can also see I have a blow hose in my mouth. So we're actually inflating and making that bubble bigger while we're putting that jack line in. And this is when, you can see Claire's also helping on the turning, because there's just a ton of torque required to power through all of the heat and the way the bubble's moving, and me sort of squeezing on that line with the tool.
You're not sort of squeezing, you're really squeezing. It shows off that dynamism of times, but it just what makes this process so much fun.
And you can even see how Jackie's super diligent about holding that paddle in between Joe's hand and that hot pumpkin. It's about 2,000 degrees, and it is quite hard to focus when you're trying to do something and also trying to ignore that your hand is like, get out of here.
And you see Joe using the torch, and he has that blow hose, so he's using the torch to put heat where we want it, so that as we inflate it, we can get the shape in a way that we desire.
So it's blown up almost all the way to its volume, and you can see I'm kind of using a paddle to keep the front from blowing out too much, and we're putting the last bit of air in that piece.
And I have a compressed air hose there, so I'm just using that air to actually kind of help Joe cool certain areas and keep the front from blowing out too much.
Yeah, it shows off a point at which, normally there's the person sitting down in Joe's position, we consider a gaffer, but when we work as a team, there's way more of a give and take that we expect other people to know what's going on. And like Jackie, there where you're applying the air, you're actually the only one who can see that. So you're in charge of that part of the shape.
So Joe was just torching that back area, and now we're going to sink back the jack line so that this pumpkin will sit flat on a table.
I'm not gonna lie, I love doing this, but my back doesn't.
It's also so satisfying to watch. Everybody in the whole shot is like, ooh.
It's also the first time that you really see the shape kind of come out at you.
Yeah, so he was really just using heat and gravity there to sink that back.
Right, so Jackie's gonna make a stem in a minute, but while she starts the stem, we're kind of pushing in the face, what will be the top of the pumpkin, so that it kind of has an indent where we add that stem.
And this is also the magic of having several different cameras rolling, something that you don't really get to experience as a member of the team, but we can see now that as we're doing that, as we're putting the crunching in the top of the pumpkin, Jackie is working on making the stem. So it's cool that you get to spread out in the process and see all that.
Yeah, so I have about 3 gathers of glass there. It's just solid. Now I'm applying some black color to the outside. And it's really important for the stem that this glass stays really hot throughout the whole core the whole time. So it's a lot of glass to keep moving and try and keep control of.
Yeah, making this bit is super hard to have a nice even heat so that it pulls out evenly. Jackie really kills it.
So
and
I'm using...
you can tell, Jackie, that you have fun while you're doing it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I just heated that up using our gas furnace, and now I'm going into a smaller optic mold, just like you saw us use for the pumpkin before. And then I'll just cool and shape this up and kind of stamp it down to get into a nice little cylindrical shape that I can keep control of.
And this is also, you see it like moving, and it's one of those cool experiences with glass where you get to experience it in this state, in a very viscous, almost liquid state.
Yeah, and with the stem, you can see the colors on the outside there, so whenever I touch down on that metal table, you can really see kind of the cooling effect of the Marver. So now I'm running this bit down to the pumpkin as fast as I can, and then Joe will grab onto the pipe here, and he will help place the stem perfectly on center.
And we thought you might like a slowed down view of that, so we'll just kind of take it back to the beginning.
So I stop and flip, and then stab it on.
Nice.
One of my favorite things about glass is stretching it out when it's hot. I love watching it go from a liquid to a solid. So putting these big stems on is super fun, especially when the bits are so nice coming over from Jackie.
Really see how even the heat is because it pulled out so nicely. This is where that skill really pays off in that. Ooh, twist it up.
Go, Joe.
Yeah, go.
Go. And
Yeah,
you see
Joe
that
makes that look extremely easy also. That is a huge stem to make.
So nice. Shaped so perfectly. It came right off there. And you can see that I have the paddle in that shot. I'm really just trying to keep the object on center when we stop. So our pumpkin's finished. You can see Joe's torching the back to get it hot, so we can break it away. We actually need to warm it up so we can take it off of the rod.
Yeah, we don't want to keep the metal pipe in there.
So I just put on the space suit.
Because he's going to go into a really hot oven.
So we're using a little bit of water to put some shock into the piece where we want it to break off. And a tap from the wooden rod sends actually sound waves down, breaks it off. And it's sharp right now.
So I'm using a hot torch to smooth out that edge.
And now we're loading it into a thing we call an annealer, so it can cool slowly over the next 18 hours or so. And yes, please.
Yeah! Woo!
Yeah!
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
watching.
Go to starworksnc.org to find out more information about our pumpkin patch. And thanks again.